Hello, in this video we look at fossilization. Fossilization or fossilization refers to the process in which incorrect language use becomes fixed or permanent or fossilized in a learner's interlanguage. So once fossilized, these errors are resistant to correction and the learner continues to use them even after years of exposure or instruction. The term was first coined by Selinker in 1972 as part of his theory of interlanguage. That's the unique linguistic system that exists in the mind of a second language learner somewhere between their first language, their L1, and the target language, L2. So what's a definition of fossilization? Well, it's the process in second language acquisition by which certain incorrect forms become stable features of a learner's speech or writing and are no longer responsive to correction or further input. Fossilization can occur at various linguistic levels, so grammar, he go to work every day, pronunciation, three pronounced as tree, vocabulary use, so make a party instead of have a party, and discourse and pragmatics, so using overly direct or inappropriate expressions. And the causes of fossilization can be influenced by a number of factors. So there could be a lack of feedback or correction. So if errors aren't noticed or addressed, well, they may become habitual. There might be sufficient communication despite the errors. So if learners can be understood, they may not feel like they need to change. And this is often called the good enough principle. There might be motivational plateaus. So learners may stop actively striving to improve once they reach a comfortable level, often called stabilization. There might be L1 transfer, so persistent use of L1 patterns in L2 contexts, which may solidify over time. There might be age and cognitive factors, so adults may be more prone to fossilization than children due to reduced plasticity in language processing centers of the brain. The learning environment might cause an issue. So if learners are not exposed to models of native or near native speech, fossilization is possibly likely. There are different kinds or types of fossilization. So there's individual fossilization. So a particular learner has recurring errors that persist despite instruction. There can be group fossilization. So common errors become standard in certain learner communities or language classrooms. For example, I have 25 years might be common amongst Spanish speakers learning English. There can be temporary fossilization, so learners appear to fossilize but later make progress, especially with renewed focus or better input. Well, how is it different from mistakes? Well, mistakes are slips. Occasional errors even proficient speakers might make. Errors reflect underlying gaps or developmental issues, but fossilized errors are persistent, ingrained, and resistant to correction. Can it be reversed? Well, yes, but it can. it is difficult. This is often called defossilization, and it requires increased awareness. So for example, through focused feedback or recording of speech, repetition and reformulation in meaningful contexts, motivation to change, explicit teaching and practice, and high quality input with emphasis on noticing the correct form. So what are the implications for the classroom? Well, don't give up on long-term learners. Fossilization isn't always permanent, but it's slow to change. Encourage noticing, so use tasks like transcription, dictogloss, or reformulation to help learners notice gaps between their output and target forms. Provide regular feedback, so not just on correctness, but on fluency, pronunciation, and discourse strategies. balance fluency and accuracy. So too much focus on fluency alone can increase fossilization risk. Controlled practice still matters. So even for advanced learners, this might be the case. And teach strategies for self-monitoring. Help learners reflect on their common errors and become active participants in their own improvement. So fossilization is a natural part of second language development, especially in adult learners. And it doesn't mean failure, but it does mean that progress slows down somewhat, and more conscious, focused effort is required to move forward. As teachers, our role is to help learners notice, challenge, and rework those stubborn errors to push beyond good enough into lasting, meaningful, mindful improvement. Thank you.